Yo, welcome back to the channel and I hope you guys are all doing well. It's Oscar and we're back again with another video. Today we're talking something pretty unique. For those of you who know or may not know, this barrel right here might be able to tell you exactly what we're talking about in this video, but hopefully it should be a fun one. It should be kind of an informative one, historical one, and something where, you know, I get to show you some chips. Not just that barrel of chips. I got a whole rack of chips right here. So hopefully it'll be an informative, cool video for you guys. Show some chips that maybe most people haven't seen. Talk about a little bit of history, the kind of mystique about these chips, and what makes them so cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This should be a very fun one, and yeah, let's get right into it. So ultimately what we're talking about in today's video is the Sisk Co chips. These are going to be business chips that were used. You know, they say NCV on them. Obviously, these are all the different edge spot patterns. At least this barrel has quite a few of them. All the edge spot variations that Sisk, which if you don't know what Sisk was, Sisk, from what I've done some research quickly on chipboard, along with PCF and stuff like that. Sisk from this goes back to 2005. There's a little article by R.K. Covington. Sisk actually stands for Bill, Christy, and Bud Jones. So Bill Christy, that's where you get the Christy, and Bud Jones, where you get the Jones. So Christy and Jones. And the last person's name, it happened to end in Sisk. I've heard Sisk being in, that maybe it was a woman, or maybe it's the wife or something like that. But Sisk, the only reason Sisk, the Sisk part is Sisk, or Sisk was a kind of like a subdivision in California for Paulson. That's why majority of these chips, you know, you'll see Sisk versions of them, and you'll also see Paulson versions. So the Sisk, although it says, you know, the Paulson has a 702 number, ultimately Sisk was, you know, the subdivision in California. From what Don Luder says in 2009, Sisk was a defunct Paulson subsidiary company that made chips for the California market into the 1980s. But going back to what Covington said, recall Bill Christy and Bud Jones were the main force behind Christy and Jones, which is where the CJ comes from, Christy and Jones. Christy and Jones was in business prior to Christy and Paul Endy, which was the owners of Paulson, and that occurred when Bud Jones, Bill Christy, and Sisk broke up the Christy and Jones company. Bud Jones started his own company, which was Bud Jones, and Bill Christy and Mr. Endy, Paul Endy, started Paulson. And Paul Endy, Mr. Endy, had to do with, he was part of TRK back in the day. Some reason I want to say he was still in the works with TRK all the way up until TRK closed. So maybe Paul Endy was working with Paulson and TRK at the same time. I'm not entirely sure. That's something I could ask local Mr. Endy. Maybe a question when I get time to it. Maybe I could do a whole interview talking about him, because he has all the information when it came to the OG days of Paulson, the OG days of TRK, because he worked at Paulson. When his father died, he took Paulson, took it public with GPI, and then so on and so forth. The rest is history. He sold it to Angel. Now, I believe he's retired. He travels the world and does whatnot. I don't know what he does, but pretty cool guy. He's wrote a book about his father and whatnot. So maybe that's somebody I should get on the videos, maybe do an interview with him or something like that, podcast with him. You know, we could talk about chips, but he's got all the information. So yeah, it's interesting. So there's, like I mentioned, there's Sisk versions of these chips, which I have the Sisk versions here. The only reason I have these available to show today is because we have a sample set of them available at work. I'm not sure if these are for sale, but I did want to bring them home to show on the video. And I kind of have two separate sample sets here. One has the oversized inlays, which I'm not sure most people, or oversized inlay. These are the 43 mil inverse hat and cane chips. These are very cool chips. Definitely if you're an oversized chip collector, maybe you probably don't have these. But yeah, I wanted to quickly show off all the different, variations. It might be easier for me to put them, as a picture on the screen, but it's interesting. There's also one thing that Mr. Covington said. At one time, it was rumored that since Nevada Gaming banned Paulson from doing business in California, that the chips were made by Paulson but were distributed in California by CJ Sisk. So that's probably where the whole CJ Sisk thing comes into effect, because otherwise, you don't see CJ Sisk Co on, you don't see it often. You only see CJ Sisk chips on these, these samples. Obviously these samples, along with other samples that manufacturers make them, show off what they can showcase, send it to a potential, client. Maybe that's a casino, maybe it's a card room, maybe it's just a person at home. You show off all the colors that, you have available. Majority of these, they all use the same colors. For these, it's all blue, yellow, and orange. Even like this 8V chip here, blue base, yellow and orange spots. You have all the different variations of this. I think 3D14. It's an 8V spot. You have a 4D14 here. Then you have, I think this is a 414 or 412. I believe this is a 212, so 2 half-inch spots. This is a 414, so 4 quarter-inch spots. And then like this is a 818, which is 8 1/8-inch spots. But the list of edge spots and the list of variations for these chips can go on and on and on. There's so many different edge spots, and it's absolutely amazing. But it's kind of interesting to think the whole CJ Sisk Co. It's kind of there's an unwritten kind of history about it. You got to dig through a lot of things to figure out what exactly CJ Sisk stands for. I believe it was maybe a year or two ago now. One of my buddies on PCF from a local auction here in Vegas, actually not too far from my house, there was an estate sale, and the guy happened to have it was like a 300 or 500 chip CJ Sisk set, which was pretty insane to see, because before then I had never seen a CJ Sisk chip before, and it took a little bit for me to maybe like a day or so to figure out what it was. But once I figured out that CJ Sisk ultimately was Paulson, it was the very beginnings of Paulson, the whole CJ Sisk name, I knew it had to be Christy Jones, because Christy Jones had the original hat and cane mold, just with the shiny hats. If I had a chip on my desk, I'd show you, but I don't think I have a CJ chip. But like I mentioned, CJ, Christy Jones was the original Paulson. They had the original hat and cane mold. It was slightly different. It had the shiny hats. If you look closely in the light and you tilt it right at the right angle, shiny hats, whereas Paulson has dull hats. Paulson does not have shiny hats. Along with that, all CJ, Christy Jones chips are long canes. Paulson has a variation of long cane and short cane. Sometimes it's, one on one side, one on the other side. Sometimes the whole chip is a short cane. Sometimes the whole chip is a long cane. It ultimately depends on when it was made, what cups they had going, and so on and so forth. But like I mentioned, I just wanted to show those chips. Along with that, these, I thought these are pretty cool. We've had these for a while, and I've meant to make a video. It's probably been a long time. Leaded, no mold, Paulson color samples. This is something I've never seen before, up until, Mika showed them to me. But these are really, really heavy leaded, Paulson no mold color samples. If I grab my handy dandy weight here, let me just get a weight on one of them, and then I kind of give you like a variation, or kind of tell you how much they weigh. So the radiant red that I have in my hand right here, I'm going to put it on the scale here, 11.64 grams. You think a standard casino chip is 10, maybe just a little hair under 10 grams. It's 11.64. That's the weight of, one of the heaviest TRK chips that I've, felt. Yellow, weighing at 12.37. mean, these things are, pumped with lead. Watermelon, 12.1. This is Bahama Blue, 12.0. Plum, 11.4. Rose, 12.13. Daisy, 12.23. I mean, these chips are insanely heavy, but that's probably for another video. I could sit here and weigh chips all day long if I really wanted to, but the main thing was I wanted to talk about these Sisk Co chips because, like I mentioned, kind of a mystery, something that most people should probably learn a little bit about if you really want to be like a chip historian, kind of chip geek like myself. Sisk was the subdivision to Paulson in California, quote unquote, because Paulson was banned in California, but I don't really think that was the case. Paulson mainly did dealings all around the US, all around the world. If they got banned in California, what was the reason? Why did they get banned? If somebody has that information, put it down in the comments below, because I'd be very, very interested in knowing why that happened. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video about the Sisk Co history, a little bit about the manufacturer samples, the different chips they sent out to customers. One quick thing I want to note, because it's kind of interesting. So I'm looking here, I've looked at these quite a few times, but I've always found it interesting when manufacturers do this. So you have chips that have a $1 denomination on them. You have chips that have a $5 denomination on them. Some have a $25 denomination on them. And then some of them even have a $100 denomination on them. So what was the case that, they wanted to do that, whether it was to entice customers to, use them to manufacture chips, or what the case might have been. But always found it very interesting when manufacturers put dollar amounts on chips, because to me, it's like you're enticing the person. You want them to come back. Maybe it's some sort of credit that they would have gotten on a chip or something like that. Maybe it's just a promo item or just for the looks, but who knows. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little video. Very, to me, an informative video. Something that most people don't know about. And hope you guys learned a thing or two. If you did, please drop a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video at any time, please drop a like. If you made it to the end of the video, today's keyword, let's make it crazy spots. Well, we'll do crazy spots, because I know last time I said that, I told people last time put Christmas tree at the end. There was quite a few people. So I really appreciate those who really make it all the way to the end of the video. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Share the video with your friends and families. Share all over PCF, all over Chipboard, all over Poker Chipper, and whatnot. So hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.